Hello YouTube, and welcome to what is now my third YouTube video. If you've watched the first two, you'll notice that I have had a bit of a move around. This is for two reasons. One, you'll have seen in the previous two videos the camera angle was terrible, but it was the only way that I could have the camera positioned to have the light in the right place and also have a clear view of some work surface to see what I was actually doing. The other reason was I did have my table saw under the bench in between my two wood stores, and when I needed to use it I would open the back doors, drag it out and down here, stand at the back door, use the table saw, and that was fine. But a few days ago I got a little bit complacent, didn't bother dragging it out, used it on the floor. It was a terrible idea, and ran my thumb through the table saw straight into the top side. Took a big lump of flesh out. Luckily it was just a flesh wound. Managed to have it patched up at the hospital. A lesson learned. Won't be doing anything silly like that again. So I needed to not only improve a bit of space in the van and somewhere to have a better camera angle and lighting for my YouTube videos, but also somewhere safe to use the table saw. So what I've done, I've built a bench at the back door now. You can open the back doors. I've got as much outfeed space as I need. I will be putting a flip up bench to serve as an outfeed table, but at the minute I'm not using a table saw because my thumb's sort of permanently sticking out, so using a table saw would be an absolutely ridiculous idea at the minute. So while I'm not really doing much work because my hand's sore and I've not really got the use of my thumb, I've decided to do a quick YouTube video on the dust extraction system that I'm setting up in the van, just using a few old hoovers, some old hoover pipe, things that I can get from places while obviously we're in this lockdown. I would have liked to set up a proper system with blast gates and everything, but just struggling to get all the materials at the minute as it is. So things like blast gates and whatever, I'm just going to struggle to get all that sort of stuff. So I'm basically using a 60 litre shop vac that I've already got, some bits from other hoovers and other hoovers, to build myself a little dust extraction system. Because you can imagine working inside a van, it gets really dusty in here anyway. I've been wearing a dust mask, keeping the door open, but without a dust extraction system it still gets really bad. So I thought I'd really need to get something set up and something in place, and this system has cost me basically nothing. I already had the shop vac, but it only served for one piece of equipment at a time. In my workshop I can easily swap between one power tool to another, but here, because of how everything's positioned, I just can't get that pipe in and out and use it. So I needed to set something better up to be able to use just until we get out of this pandemic. If it ends up working, I might keep it like this. It's cost me nothing. This whole workshop's basically cost me nothing. It's all tools that I already had. The wood is all wood that I already had in storage. The whole workshop's cost me nothing to set it up, and it's working really well. So I can work from home, as my wife's a carer, so I can work from home in the van using what I've got and be at home for the kids. It's working really well. So I'm probably going to do a bit of a walk around, show you what I've done so far and what I'm planning to carry on doing to be able to get pipes to everywhere in the van, for housekeeping and also for servicing all the different tools I've got. So here at the back of the van, this is at the back doors, we have my 60 litre shop vac. In my workshop, this is what services my table saw and also the mitre saw. Here, because when you're inside and the doors are closed, you can't physically go from one to the other. So what I needed to do was, I was gonna make like this T-piece in and go between the two, and I realised blast gates were going to be an issue. I'm struggling with the use of one hand, so making fiddly little blast gates or even ordering blast gates is just not something I can do at the minute. So what I've ended up doing is using the existing pipe and then connecting onto, basically just connecting it up. It's not a brilliant job, as I say, but just connecting it up to a piece of pipe that I had, which was the secondary pipe to come from the table saw up to the blade guard, which I don't use, obviously. So that made that long enough to then go up to the mitre saw. So now the shop vac is literally just solely for the mitre saw, which is what I use the most, so it's the best to have because it's got the biggest cylinder capacity to store all the dust in there. Then I asked on Facebook for bits of hoover pipe, if anyone had any hoover pipe or old hoovers, and somebody delivered, a friend of mine delivered this Dyson hoover. I only wanted the pipe so I could make a system, but the hoover works. So I thought, well, I'll just check, and it didn't fit on the main exit there. So I've taped that up, and it actually fits perfectly onto what is the second sort of exit there, and which normally picks up the blade guard from up here. So that now comes down, and we've added the Dyson hoover. So now the Dyson hoover is solely for the table saw. The only problem with this setup, obviously, it's just I'm working with what I've got in the pandemic to try and just make it a bit safer for me to work in the shop and not be, you know, in a cloud of dust all the time. It's not great, it's not ideal, but it's working. There's one of the kids. So it works, and it's good, and I'll show you how I'm sort of running it all from inside the van in a second. But that's basically how the main two tools are now being extracted. But that then left me with the problem of my hand tools and also housekeeping, because now I've got the tools under the bench, the hoovers under the bench. I can't physically really get to them easily for housekeeping, so, and for my hand tools. So I'll show you what we ended up doing. We'll go back inside the van. Back inside the van, I've left the back doors open for some more light, because I've only got a light at one end of the van at the minute. Again, we're just really working with what we can and what I can get hold of and what I've managed to build, you know, from what I've got and what I can get hold of in the middle of a lockdown pandemic. But basically what I've done to make it easy to turn these on and off, both the hoovers are permanently turned on, and then just by using these switches, if I want to use the mitre saw, turn that one on there. If I want to use the table saw, turn that one on there. That means that now I've got easy control to be able to turn the dust extraction on, you know, from where I'm standing to use the particular tools. I'm now going to start installing a housekeeping hoover, which is basically another hoover. So I would like to have a proper system set up like I would in the workshop with blast gates, but I'm sure we can all agree we're all working with what we've got in the middle of a pandemic. So this is what I'm going to do now to set up basically a housekeeping and hand tool dust extraction system. So I've been given another two hoovers. Now this is an upright hoover, which is obviously no good. It's too big, too bulky, but it's going to work well because I can take this piece of flexi pipe from it. That's all I really need from that. The belt's broken on this, it is no good. But this piece of flexi pipe is going to come in really handy. And just by pure fluke, the connection on the end of this flexi pipe fits really nicely into my hand tools. So it's going to make for not only good for housekeeping, but also it'll work really well, you know, for my hand tools when I'm using them. That's really all I need from this hoover. That's gonna be redundant now. This little Zanussi pull along hoover, I'm not sure where I'm going to actually install this yet. I'll probably go under the bench with the other two, but this is sort of going to now be the housekeeping and hand tool hoover. But the pipe on it just wasn't going to be long enough to reach everywhere in the van, and also reach up to the hand tools, and also the connection on the end of it was just really loosely fitting, so it just kept falling out. So it was going to be no good. I needed both the hoovers really to make something that was going to be usable and actually serve a purpose and work. So I just need to connect the two together, probably just by popping that up there, and then I'll force that into there. Duct tape, and you know, it is a bit of a bodge, but it's going to be a working bodge, and it's going to save my lungs from getting full of sawdust and all the other lovely nastiness that comes from working with wood. In fact, that's a really nice snug fit, a bit of duct tape on that, and I think that's going to be a perfect Covid-19 bodge. In fact, I don't think it needs any duct tape. That's a really good fit So it's I think that's going to work really well. I just need to mount it under the bench and see where we go from there. Let's have a look. So off camera I realised when I connected this together I just lost all suction when I added the second pipe, and soon realised that was because the second pipe was absolutely clogged up. So just rammed a piece of scrap wood all the way down it and got that unblocked, and now it's working really well. I decided to put it up on the shelf up there because having it mounted under the bench, it just meant that the pipe then had to come up and round the back to be able to come down, which is, you know, to where I'm going to be using it for using the hand tools. So up there on the shelf just meant, you know, it can be tucked up out there, out of the way. I can use it on my bench here when I'm using my hand tools, and it also literally reaches like every part of the van, you know, for housekeeping. So I can do housekeeping. Point of this video for you guys, probably nothing. For me, it's definitely, you know, I've added years to my life, so I'm not stuck in this little sweat box breathing in, you know, just sawdust and crap. But I think maybe there is a point for you guys. I think it's just showing we're just all, you know, everybody's working with what they've got at the minute. You know, we can't get hold of things. We're struggling to get materials. We're struggling to get a dust extraction system. Lots of people have closed. I know they are easing lockdown rules and businesses are opening again, but money, another thing is, you know, money's tight for everybody. Normally I work 7 days a week, and I can't do 2 of my main jobs now. So that means, you know, money's tighter than it usually is. So something like this, I think we're basically just showing that we can be resourceful, work with what you've got. You know, a few hoovers that I've picked up for free, obviously using social distancing, getting them dropped off, staying 2 meters, you know, being safe. But we are a resourceful race, and if you put your mind to it, you can make yourself a dust extraction system out of a few old hoovers. You know, you need a dust extraction system, especially in such a small workspace like this. And now I've got one, and it's literally cost me nothing. Just a few old hoovers. Is it perfect? No. Does it work as well as a proper dust extraction system? No. Is it usable? Yes. And is it going to stop me inhaling loads of crap and sawdust? Yes. It's doing what it needs to do, and it's another free add-on to what's a makeshift workspace, so I can work from home and be with my kids. I don't think you can really take anything away from this video other than, you know, if you need something, improvise, think outside the box. Do you need a proper dust extraction system, or can you make do with something? You know, do you need certain things that you would normally be having, or you just, you know, go to the shop, or what we take for granted you can just go pick them up? Can you use something at home? Can you get hold of something else? Can you think outside the box and just make something do? You know, make do. I think that's what we all need to be doing at the minute. If you can't go to work, you need to think of something else. This woodworking is more of a hobby for me. It's just something that I do. Usually it was just something I did in my spare time. I stumbled across it by accident. I built a pallet wall in my bedroom. Everyone saw it on Facebook, started going mad, saying, you know, how great it looked, and I should start doing things. I'd done woodwork in the past, you know, odd bits of decking here and there for myself, but never done it as a business. And then I turned it into a hobby that started out with just you know, something that sort of paid me. I just did odd jobs, just friends and family, doing little bits here and there, building little bits of furniture. And it was just something I did in my spare time. But now, as I say, both my other jobs are non-essential, and I can't go out and do them. Suddenly I needed an income, but I needed an income that I could do whilst looking after my kids, because my wife's a carer. She has to be out and about. I can't be there. I can't be going out to work as well. So this I thought, well, why not take that hobby that I do, that I love doing, that I really enjoy doing, and make it at least temporarily more a full-time income. And I have, and until I decided to slice my thumb up, it's been working. It's just about diversifying. You know, there is a way of getting through this. It's just finding what your way is. This is mine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the little bell. Make sure you get notified for any upcoming videos. I'm new to YouTube. it's not really something that I ever thought I'd see myself doing, but hopefully you know, if one person can take something away from one of my videos, then I'm happy. But yeah, stay safe everybody, see you soon.